the caveat is that they're all connected. So shadows kind
Yeah,
of feed from one another in the end, and the gifts feed from one another. It's almost like you tap into the shadow, you turn them all on across the board, and it
yeah.
depends. No matter what key you have your shadow in.
People like you that are enabling great change for others, and just your presence, and just your being. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a celebrity to do it either. You can just be walking down the street or sitting in a room.
Yeah, and you're making the difference.
How can I contribute something?
Hmm.
And that's a big fear too. It's like, oh, I'm going to change my city or my town or my country. Like, yeah, it's possible. It starts with one person.
Hmm.
Welcome to Gene Key number 3, the shadow of chaos, the gift of innovation, and the city of innocence. No matter who or what we are, we're subject to constant change. When we let that truth in, it's very uncomfortable, at least in the beginning. This Gene Key is all about the process of letting change in. We have to let it into our heart, body, and soul. This is a contemplation on change.
I love Gene Key 3.
Jump
Uh,
in.
wow. I have so many notes and I highlighted a lot of things on Gene Key 3, but I love the ending of it. And I don't want to jump to CD right away, but I love the collective consciousness. And I think you and I have a lot to say about this because it's all about the emotions. It's all about moving from here down to solar plexus. So let's dive in from the shadow. I think it's a good to kick off with your story of why do you feel accidentally on purpose in a synchronized matter, universe just brought you a little bit of chaos today before we started talking about chaos as a shadow.
Yeah. So my day has been a primordial soup of chaos.
Yes.
Um, this morning, so every morning I go to the gym, and this morning doing my normal thing, and I'm like feeling tightness. I'm aware of it, thinking, this is interesting. I wish it would go away. And then lo and behold, I get a pulled muscle at some point. Um, and then throughout the day, it's like increasing intensity. And we have the kids at home, and they were feeling usually like with the shadows as we go through. It's like, oh, today's chaos. And then they're just like having every meltdown imaginable over the littlest things. And I just have to look and like I'm kind of laughing to myself in a way. And that, like the laughter and like being able to see it with the kids kind of points to the city that we're going to get to. Um,
Yeah,
but
the play.
yeah, it's been a chaotic day for sure. Um, and as we dive into it, there's an element of like, the repressed nature, trying to control, being tight and not breathing into our bodies. So, do you want to speak to that real quick?
Yes. So the chaos is a complete disorder. What I like about the shadow is what how he explained it here is that everything starts from this, and this is the key for the future change. So everything that we
Hmm.
think, we design, but we comprehend as the complete chaos and disorder around us.
Hmm.
And we're so separated from one another. We're so secluded from the one, the universe. We think there's a center. How I understood it, that there's centers of everything that is happening, including your chaos this morning,
Yeah.
including my chaos. And my chaos was in order, but it was chaotic. I couldn't even take a breath today because I was
Hmm.
back to back, like really squeezing everything possible that I can in my, awakened life, like today, awakened day. But how I see the shadow is that we live on this 24/7, and it's just a different formats of the chaos that we defined based on our previous experiences. So if you call the chaos yoga and a little bit of stretch in the shoulder or in your neck, You're going to call it chaos because your brain can understand that it's a chaos that way. Oh,
Hmm.
why is this happening to me? Why is this why do I have to be the center of it rather than seeing it from life itself? It's
Hmm.
really big to comprehend it. Why do we even talk about this as a chaos at all? Why do we talk about the problems, the obstacles, the everything that is happening in life? Why do we assume automatically that it's in complete chaotic non-order for
Hmm.
us
Hmm.
rather than thinking about it as life, that it's just happening?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah, and to speak to that, because it seems it's like too innocent, right? It's like it's a judgment, essentially. It's like life isn't that easy. Like life can't just be what is. You have to categorize and judge and then figure it out and solve and problem solve and focus. And so
yeah,
that's at least that's what society, culture, everything is speaking to.
yes, yes. And so us being, he speaks about being a singular cell
Hmm.
and having the brain in the middle of the cell per Darwin and what's his name, Newtonian laws of physics and biology.
Hmm.
And how I understood it when I read is like we're rather than having a cell and the brain of the cell is in the middle, it's actually the brain now becomes a part
Yeah,
of
the
the
membrane.
membrane,
Hmm.
and which is we are in the life that you and I live right now. The
Hmm.
only way for us to understand anything in life is if the brain is in the center of it. We still
Hmm.
cannot comprehend that we think that everything is coming from this brain rather
Hmm.
than everything is coming from this membrane of ours,
Hmm.
that it's connected to every single movement in it. So I started Googling, I had to Google a little bit of Einstein relativity and theory of relativity to
Hmm.
understand what they're talking about specifically here. Is that it talks about the Earth in the cosmos as an object that bends the space.
Hmm.
And there is that famous picture of the Earth, and then there's this like squared, like a little bit of like a linear thing, and just bended because
Hmm.
there's an object in it, and as an object, it has its own matter that bends the space around it. So this body and a membrane of it, by default, we're going to change the environment that we belong into, which tricked my mind a little bit because we are tricked now to think that this brain activates this body, and we're so separated from overall consciousness rather than this brain is not here, it's actually all over this object of the vehicle of the body, and you and I are in a complete relativity together with the
Hmm.
planet, with the cosmos, with everything. So your body tweaks my space and by default changes the environment that I'm in too because you're an object, me as well. So does it make sense what I just said?
Yeah, it does. It's a fluid nature of like it's a fluidity that we can't comprehend, essentially. But
So you and I don't understand this
no,
the right way.
no, and understanding is just it's just another attempt at making sense of the whole thing. It's like the words we're speaking.
Yeah, but what is really cool is that we live in a time where all of us together at the same time are realizing that we, right here, this brain is going to become our body. So we're
Hmm.
actually doing it at the same time, even though we don't understand how. But through that evolution and innovation of the cell from a singular cell to the multidimensional cell, how they're explaining, we're already changing our consciousness into it. So you
Hmm.
and I don't get it. I don't understand it, define it, but I know I don't have to understand it. So I'm
Yeah.
becoming comfortable without understanding it and allowing universe just to do it because I'm part of it now.
Yeah.
Whatever that I'm doing on my solo journey or in my own solo consciousness is actually going to bend your space as well.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Hmm.
So he said in the repressive part that we're all anal to some degree, some mild and some acute. Where would you place yourself? And then could you envision a being that isn't on that spectrum, but beyond it?
I love this part because I was surprised that he's actually talking about the anus and how the muscles around the anus are contracting every time
Hmm.
we're living in a fear.
Yeah.
That fear and the anus, the density of it really stops us from breathing. And when we don't breathe, we don't really get the clarity of it. We're not even using our lungs to its fullest. So
Hmm.
the fear is really the how we understand it is the difficulty of that beginning. So everything in the beginning that starts how we think is chaos.
Yeah.
It's full of fear, it's full of tension. We have to start, we have to change this. And we think of it as such a chaotic disorder that later on becomes easy. Oh, that
Hmm.
was easy to do. But everything in the beginning, really, we associate with such an order and such a chaos. So by default, we have this density and that fear of the beginning, but it's just the beginning. It's nothing else other than just the beginning or evolution of something new or
Hmm.
innovative. As
Hmm.
we all ourselves are growing, all of us are growing. No matter what we do, we're going to grow, no
Hmm.
matter what. And when we put the fear in it, and fear is like contracting our entire body, that's when we go backwards. He did mention in one point is that if you don't evolve and grow constantly, you die off.
Yeah.
So the repressive nature of it reminds me of once you start fearing so many things in life,
You're dying.
you're dying actually.
Hmm.
There's no involvement, nothing, you're not transcending, you're not growing, you're not really evolving anything other than just like going back. What do
Yeah.
you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, that's ironic because to let go, to let go of that control feels like a death. And it's talked about like an ego death, right? Of like, I'm just going to open myself to a higher way of being where I don't control and I don't grasp and I don't try to figure everything out of this like small self, right? You're killing that small self to become a part of the bigger self. And it's ironic. It's just ironic the language that's used of like ego death.
Hmm. So you think how can you find can you translate it? Can you translate the control in the being in this life, in your own being? Like, are they all? I'm certain that there are aspects that you're trying to let go and not control, but are we able to let go of everything that we're controlling?
That's yeah, and that's what I was pointing to earlier. Could you imagine a being that has let go completely? Um, it would have to like to just fathom it, it would have to be like a Christ-like enlightened master type of figure, right? Where it's they're floating and everything that they touch is healed and every person they interact with is perfect. Like, you know, we have like glimpses of it, right? But to like take it in every moment, always. That's yeah. I'm not sure how how do you go about doing that, or how do you?
I'm honestly, I'm excited that we live in
uh,
time when we get to get the glimpse of it, right?
yeah,
So we really are not in the time that our time already evolved a lot just like a decade ago, not only technologically, but there's a lot of movements that you and I know. And there's a lot of communities and a lot of people that are living off grid and nomad life and letting go of attachments and living simple life and finding the techniques that are not really um, this scientifically proven, but yet are opening up the portals to it. There's a lot of people that are channeling, speaking different languages. A
Mhm.
lot of it is happening. And when you
Mhm.
see it happen, I'm almost like excited because I get to see it, tap into it. So yeah, you show me the technique that I can transcend, show me, I'll try, and then off you go. And then you come back right here in this life. It's exciting to explore
Yeah.
what it feels like to let go, even if it's a glimpse. I just cannot
Yeah.
imagine living life with no fear
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Hmm.
That's the part that is like, is that even possible? Because this thing cannot even imagine this.
Yeah.
But that is possible.
Yeah, and I think it's a continual process, right? That's kind of the human condition is we're it's like be transformed by the renewing of your minds. And like a renewal of our minds is like embodiment. And so it's like breath or movement or like something like that, where our mind can now exist in a realm of the newness where your body can translate. If it's a fear, you can translate it and you can breathe through it and then you can let go of it again.
Hmm.
So it's almost like it might just be a trap of thinking like, oh, I can be fearless and I
Hmm.
can let go completely. I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, our grandparents certainly didn't know how to breathe and use a breathing technique for sure. You kidding? I mean, they knew nothing compared to how
Yeah.
much we know, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to opening the heart, opening the chakras, feeling this energy, that energy, doing all kinds of different things just to exit this state and see other possibilities other than this, what we know. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
No more separateness, no more, how did he call it? No more, mm. Okay, so what then does all of this really mean? It means that you are only trapped by your own thinking. It is you who corrupts the data within your DNA by only allowing in frequency that activates its most primitive components, which is what we knew back in the day. Separate, cell, single, we're not multiplying. Meaning my presence in your space does not affect you. I'm for on my own for myself only. But that was the past. So that was our past thinking. Once we figure the shadow out and how to move towards, hey, if I'm in your aura, in your present, there must be something going on about you too. You can feel me, you can see me, I might be affecting you. You and I might be, it's like creating those little mini circles and containers with people that put the same intention, and then everybody rises to this frequency. And then you feel the buzzing and you don't even know why you're buzzing. It's real.
Yeah, absolutely. So the collective, call it kind of psychosis right now, like the collective on one side it's an awakening, on the other side it's a psychosis. It's like the stuck energy, and then but everything's being broadcast. Like we're seeing everything now. All the truth is out there. You can access anything you want. If you want to look for it, you can find it. So in that, there's an opportunity for two types of reactions. So the one is the reaction, which is repressing and getting more fearful, getting more separate. And
Mm.
look at the response that happened after the pandemic, like stay 6 feet apart, stay in your homes, like being commanded to be repressive. And the other would be like this understanding, like this childlike innocence of there's something, and this happened with Carly and I when it came to vaccines, was we found out that this wasn't being tested. We found out it just didn't seem, something didn't seem right. And it was an opportunity to say, we might not know the answers, but there's a newness that's happening. And let's just step into that and figure it out instead of submitting to the fear and further retracting. Because we knew intuitively what we wanted was expansion. But it took this step into like stepping off a platform into this void, right? This just a huge leap. And so many decisions in life when we can really experience like a big shift on a collective level. I think it is stepping into this
Mm,
space where we're like, when I was at Arcadia in Las Vegas, it's like we don't really know why we're celebrating because there's like a bunch of wars going on. There's a lot of chaos in the world, but we're here to dance and communicate and get together and experience something else. We didn't know what that was, but by the end of it, you figure out what it is.
mm,
I think you got to experience that with Costa Rica. I don't know if it was in that intention, but it seemed like you were able to experience that shift in energy from we don't know what we're doing, this all feels new, like where are we going with it into something much bigger than ourselves, into the membrane out of the little brain.
mm. So what you're pointing out is that when there's a massive, I have to say something that crossed my mind while you were talking about the massive fear through the COVID. That was such a good chance for us to completely
Yeah.
use the masses of people and just flip the intention
Yeah.
and do complete opposite, for example. That was such a good chance for us
Yeah. And
to
so many
raise our consciousness.
people and so many people I talked to, it was that thing that helped us take a step. And the first step leads to so many more.
Mm,
Now there's so many new people that are on this path of
mm.
awakening and becoming more in alignment and unified with each other and working together to come up with solutions.
Yeah, that's the part that I really love about the gift part of it is that you see it everywhere.
Mhm.
There's no I personally don't feel like that. It's like even if we do this work and even if you and I know that 77,000 other people probably did the same exact work, we're still doing it. And we're
Yeah.
actually excited about doing it. And that's the best part. It's almost like that contribution to something is like such a excitement. And it has a little taste of that unconditionality and love because I know at least 10 people that did this work. And I know them here in LA actually.
Hmm.
And when I speak and when I say, hey, just today I mentioned to someone, oh, I'm doing this podcast. And he was like at yoga, because I did the yoga this morning too. And he's like, podcast about what? And I was telling him the jinkies and stuff. And he's like, oh, tell me more. He's genuinely wants to know more. And I was like, oh, that would be great. I'll send you the podcast once it's ready. So you can just start learning, or I can give you everything that I know. Like literally. It's not, it's like so collective. It is so pure and it's made for everybody. It is not anymore for us. Like in this, what you and I are doing, I don't feel that I'm separated from everyone, just doing it for myself for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way. And there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of work that it's just so, yes, you monetize from it eventually, you turn it into something, but it's like there's that sense of them doing the good because there's so much fear elsewhere, which is really beautiful.
Yeah. It's really cool.
By the time your kids grow up, they'll be like, free, 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 free. Take it, take it, take it, take it. Oh, I love it.
That's the dream, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I highlighted one more thing here too. And I wrote wow and love it. Let me read it before we jump into the gift. The wider you open yourself to chaos that lies ahead of you, the more you will realize that there never was any chaos.
Ah.
It was all simply the difficulty at the beginning. It is the third shadow that makes human beings afraid to change, despite the fact that we are wired to change.
Hmm.
In order to evolve, a human being must embrace chaos rather than try to protect himself against it.
Hmm.
Ah,
Yeah.
if I had a
Beautiful.
magic wand just to remove the fear from all humanity, that would be so cool. Gone.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept. What if you had the power to do that, you would. Yeah.
Just don't fear. I mean, I'm fearful too, but I'm trying to take the leap of faith,
Yeah.
the hope, the belief, the trust. I keep saying trust, the surrender. I even have a tattoo here that says surrender.
Yeah.
Surrender, trust it, trust it.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's like in doing the work, the internal spiritual trauma processing, that kind of work, and having that as a framework of where I've been and where I've come, all the steps I've come through and all the things I've learned. When you say, if I have a magic wand to remove all fear, there's like a part of me that's like, oh, don't do that. Like it's like and I'm trying to place it. Is it a jealousy? Is it comparison? Is
Mm,
it jealousy because they didn't, not everyone went through the hardships that I went through if you're just waving it all away? Or or is it something more not as sinister, just like an awareness that you can take people's fear away, but it's in a way it's kind of like spiritual bypassing where you could step into it right now and say I'm not going to be fearful anymore and kind of play the part. But if it doesn't have a origination in that solar plexus, like you can breathe deep and down. I guess that's what it is, right? It's like people pretending to play the part, but their anus is super tight to try to balance it out.
yeah, the grip is so tight. But this is a good leeway to the gift
Yeah.
because there are kids that are going to come on this planet while you and I are alive that will know no fear.
Hmm.
Say more. Literally, they will not know what the hell is fear.
Mm.
That might even be your kids, by the way.
Yeah. I I feel this generation because we hang out with a lot of other kids too. They have much more capacity for the newness and being okay and whatever and like not having this outcome based or this future based mindset where it's yeah. And I think, on some part it's our parenting and on some part it has nothing to do with our parenting. It's just what kind of beings have decided to come in now.
Yeah. I mean, if we were just to look at the gene keys, nothing is really we don't control anything.
Yeah.
It's all in collective consciousness,
Mhm.
which is growing and evolving no matter what. It never stops. And eventually, I highlighted here, and we'll talk this about the CD part. And the innovation is that it is given to us by default. The evolution, we cannot stop it. The us growing into multicellular beings, we cannot control that. Us
Mhm.
changing the way we feel about the fear and all these like chaotic, like we can't change it. We can't stop that. Eventually, we would just forget that it existed. And we'll
Right.
go in our day stressless. Oh, I can't wait. Oh my God, bring it on right now.
Oh.
So it goes innovation only as a gift innovation. Innovation only occurs when you truly begin to think for yourself. This may sound like an everyday occurrence, but in fact, it is a relatively uncommon. In order to be truly innovative, you have to attain a very high frequency that allows you to see beyond the collective world view.
Hmm.
What does that mean to you?
Hmm.
A very high frequency that allows you to see beyond what you see.
Yeah, again, it's just a trusting, like, can you take a deep breath? And on one level, it is like seeing the grand orchestration of what's happening, like the collective reason why we're here, and to go through that and to have these fear-based models come in so that we can ascend, so that we can see past it. Um, but it takes that trust and a trust in something that's like unknown because right now many people place their trust in some kind of figure or organization or group or
Religion.
religion or their television or you know, you name it. I mean, we're placing our trust in objects that exist in this three-dimensional reality, and the trusting beyond that is like maybe there's something more, a higher order, or something that we're going to come into. And what happens if I do trust that? Just a little bit. What happens if I just taste it? And it just changes you, I think.
The 3D order, or are you talking like above it, like
Above.
beyond it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you you free yourself from fear.
Yeah. It's like the red pill and the blue pill. That
Mhm.
moment, you know, like, okay, let me just see. What's the worst that can happen? Like,
Really, that's a question really to ask. Is like, what is the worst that can happen?
yeah.
We get hit by asteroid,
Yeah, right.
which
Or
has
or you're unplugged and it's like this is all a program. You're in the matrix. And you're like, okay, this is all really new, but I think I could figure it out. So that's the worst that could happen there.
side note. I'm simultaneously reading the book on emotions, and it's called How Emotions Are Made. And just to give you a little snippet, it's one of those things that I posted on thing, but to give you a little depth of it, our brain thinks ahead of the time from us.
Mhm.
Literally, we don't have like it already knows what's going to happen in the next minute or 5 minutes, which means that it simulates our reality.
Yeah, right.
It creates the reality. It is scientifically proven.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Collective simulation,
But this brain,
individual simulation.
yes,
Ah,
the exactly. So we individually, the brain simulates my life and creates its own thing based on whatever past experiences that I have because it can only think of based on what it knows. So now I have to create something for the brain to give it innovative way of thinking, which is out of body for it to create a new reality for me. And I can only do it for me. I can't do it for you. But how I do it and you do it and everybody else does it around us, automatically we can stimulate and simulate completely different reality for us.
is there
That's
a, go ahead.
mhm. No, nothing. Go ahead. What's the
Is there a
question?
how to that? Is there a process? Or you're saying,
I will let you know when I finish the book.
okay.
There is, it is so, it is mind blowing and it is proven.
And it's
That's the,
exactly a minute ahead or roughly or
it literally runs circuits. So your way of fear and my way of fear is not the same. When you see the in my face, and I don't know if you saw the poll, everybody got it wrong,
yeah,
which was literally the
I got it
experiment that I
wrong.
did. Everybody got it wrong. No one thought that I was sad just because I smiled.
Yeah.
But when you speak the truth, that truth of knowing, when you're in front of me and I cry and I open my wounds and I cry trauma to you and I'm so vulnerable to you, that's when you connect. We connect from here to
Yeah.
your. You don't really logically understand why. You know when to hug someone, right?
Yeah.
But your brain is constantly trying to give you and tell you what to do. because it runs all these circuits. So it goes and connects like many, many wires around it. And there are many, and there's no trace to it. Nothing is the same. And every fear is different because from this spot to this spot, you got a new experience of it. So the next one will be very different because now you add it to all your past experiences and it literally can predict. Like oftentimes when you cut this is why when you cut yourself, you don't really feel the pain until a minute later. You just see the blood. You're like, I don't know where I cut myself. Ah, and then it starts to shoot the pain.
Mm, wow.
It's powerful.
Yeah. So to wave your magic wand would be something, it could just be something physiologically done in the brain in a way, or
Yes.
like, yeah, like you're just like gonna put some magic in there where you're like, you don't have, you no longer have the ability to project.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we start thinking outside the singular brain.
Yeah.
And we start thinking of that collective, no more selfish way of thinking, unique, like solo. It's more like you're now knowing certain things that you don't even know why you know, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're tapping into this like collective brain
Yeah.
of all the brains together.
So it makes me think of like past life regression, um ancestral, like bringing in ancestors, doing some of these modalities that are in the spiritual realm are in a way they're moving us out of that the primitive Darwinian survival because you're now understanding like you're expanding out slowly. Like, okay, I thought I was an individual being. Okay, now I understand I'm part of, I have past lives. Okay, now I'm understanding like my ancestors are still here. Now I'm understanding my future self is right here too. Like you, and it just goes until the point of oblivion or the void or the newness, and then back again. So it's like something that's helped me out, and it's a process for sure, but it's understanding like even if I don't figure this out, meaning like the meaning of life and enlightenment and all this stuff, I'm still doing work that's moving it forward. And I'm still taking part in it all the way back, and I'm still taking part in it all the way forward. I'm still taking part in it all the way up as well as all the way down.
Yeah. You're just more aware now than you were before because part of your work is already taking all the ancestral work done before. So
Mhm.
now you're not separated from it. You're actually part of it together.
Yeah,
So they're part of you. You
yeah,
bring over their work with you. And what you're doing it for future rounds too. We're
yeah,
all doing it. And it's more about cooperating together in that matter, doing it all together rather than just doing it, thinking they were doing it separately.
yeah. Yeah, that makes me think too of the call to community that happened as a response to COVID. Like so many people that we talked to, um, strangers or friends, were like feeling this really strong call to enter into community, into a place where we can raise children together and raise food together and communicate together and live in this way. And it was kind of an opportunity to innovate. And funny enough, the innovation was something that's been done before. It's just returning to it. But we're so removed from it, especially with technology now, that it seems far away and far-fetched. But it's being done all over the world, especially in Costa Rica and especially in Hawaii.
Yeah. I mean, when I went, I've seen, you're talking 30 years backwards. Where, and I even wrote a post about it, like nothing exists. Everything stops. Your brain just becomes
Yeah.
mushy food for crows and birds, right? So, no internet, no radio, no news, no politics, just drugs. And it's wild. But here's the best part is that Here's the question. If you're not growing one or the other way, and you know you're dying if you're not growing, does the does the running away from what is happening really helping you or not? I live in a city, in a busy city. You live in the jungle.
Yeah, we have,
Growth is happening on both places.
yeah, well, yeah. And we had that call to community, and the thought was like, and there's people here that are really trying to escape it, push it away. But there's an element of like being in it that's the most difficult. And you're still taking part in that in a way, like saying, I'm gonna go to community and do this thing separate from the world. It's kind of like spiritual bypassing. All that to say, I think it's really helpful for people to have a paradigm shift for like if they're allowing visitors to come and do that. I think it really helps people. And then they can go back and do greater works, right? Because you're affecting more people. But there's communities here of like, we're going to be closed, we're going to do it our own way, we're escaping the world, and when the world burns down and there's all the volcanoes and all this stuff, we're going to be here, we're going to make it. And it's a bypassing thing. It's like a belief that it can't be changed. In a way, it's going back to the fear. It just looks different.
Yeah. And really, all you're doing is just changing your physical environment.
Right.
You're still part of the collective.
Right.
No matter where you can go to Mars
Right.
and you're still part of it. And your evolution is inevitable. But what it seems to me is that because I literally met a woman who was freaked out by living in Canada. And right now at the during the
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's like, I have to leave. And here's the conspiracy theories and everything. And she just laid out all this plan. And she's like, I know I'm doing the right thing if I'm here and I'm safe. And I'm thinking, but are you really just like forcing so hard the reality away from you that it's going to come and get you sooner or later and you won't even be prepared because you were not part of it, for example, right? It's almost like your environment is there, but it really doesn't matter where you are. It's like your
Right.
inner fear, you're afraid of trivial things like religion or like politics. Look, do you see this?
Yeah, I saw that. That's what happened last time. I was like, what?
Why don't we get the thumbs up? Oh, maybe because I said
You're
politics.
like, every time you speak truth on a really, really profound level, you're gonna get a thumbs up.
AI knows exactly.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But
Yeah.
go
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
Mm.
Um, like it's interesting, like the Festival of Arcadia was supposed to be in the mountains, I think Montana or something. It was supposed to be like a place to get away and to experience, like typical festival culture. And then they had a mishap and it ended up being in Vegas. And a lot of people threw a fit about it that were going to attend. And then the people that were organizing the event did a really great job of looking at it as an opportunity. And I don't think I would have had as much of a transformation as I did if it were out in nature somewhere.
Mm.
Because we come down from our hotel room and we're ready for this festival, we're like, my shirt's off, I have like glow paint on my skin and stuff. And there's like really, really, call it low vibration, whatever you want to call it, drinking, gambling, couples that are fighting, a lot of sexual promiscuity, and we're just immersed, like, because we're staying in a casino and we're just immersed in it. We look out and we're like, huh, I have two choices. I can judge it or I can learn to work with it. And we would find like people would just come around us and all of a sudden we're like laughing with a group of strangers and people are asking us all these questions. Someone starts sharing their life story and it's like, okay, it doesn't matter where you are. Yeah.
It really doesn't.
And in some ways, I think it matters more to pay attention to your placement. Doesn't mean you can't move, I don't think, but just to be aware of where am I, what are my gifts, what's needed, and how can I contribute something.
Hmm.
And that's a big fear too. It's like, oh, I'm gonna change my city or my town or my country. Like, yeah, it's possible. It starts with one person.
Hmm. By the way, are you planning on staying in Hawaii for a long time?
That's the plan right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same. I love LA.
Yeah.
And don't even ask, but you just simply know. And when it's time to go, you just leave.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Shall we move to city or do you
Let's
have
do it.
anything?
No, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, so I highlighted one thing and I just wrote BAM thoughts
Go for it.
next to innovation. And maybe this can be the last one. It goes, our greatest innovation is yet to come, which is literally to relocate our brain from the cranium to the far more advanced solar plexus system. Just as the cell's true brain is in its membrane rather than its nucleus, so our true brain is through our emotional system. I
Mm.
wrote them because you and I are Pisces and emotions rule us.
Yeah. Just one moment.
Okay.
Here you go. You're welcome. Bye. See you later. Okay. Our neighbor left her water bottle here the other day. So,
Oh,
yeah. Sweet little girl.
do you have more kids than adults out there?
It seems like it at times.
That's so nice. You get to be the kid anytime you want.
Yeah.
Lucky, lucky. Okay, so it goes, so it says that this logical, how I understood it, the logic will not be really anymore important. It will all, everything will be processed on collective level through our emotional system. What do you think about that? First of all, do you think we're really emotional as Pisces? Taboo.
No, no,
Nope. Mm-mm-mm.
no, not even a little bit. No. Yeah, for sure.
Imagine if everybody is like us.
Yeah, and us, in our truest state, like not hiding it. Because even now, like today, I'm in a lot of pain and the kids are needing whatever they're needing. And I'm trying not to annoy my wife, who's so gracious and helping everything, helping everything keep moving forward. So when I move positions or something, like what I want to do is just yell, like yelp it out and start crying. And I'm like, and I'm like aware, like, okay, it's a trade-off, I'm like, it's going somewhere and I have to move it later. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All that to say, like the
you should
truly
yell now.
emotional, non-logical would be, it wouldn't even think, I need to do this, I need to repress, I need to hold it, and it would just be like anything, anything would come out.
Do you want to yell now?
Um, I will do it later because my, there's
Okay.
two little girls over here. I think they would be terrified. Just a little longer.
Okay. Fair,
Yeah.
fair, fair. But the awareness of it that you can do it and you're now controlling it,
Yeah.
finding the right outlet for it is beautiful.
Yeah. And I think I'm feeling breath, like doing some breath work will be really helpful.
Well, I'm a
So,
good yelling buddy, just so you know. I love
okay.
to yell. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if I missed your question. It was because you asked me about the Pisces thing, and I think it took my thoughts with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand why we're so emotional and they just taboo us into defined pussies or whatever,
Mhm.
cry babies. But I think when you feel a lot of things, so yeah, I am sure you're passing through many emotions and you're aware of every single thing. What I'm noticing lately is it passes through my body. It sits in the different parts of my body,
Yeah.
and it comes out of blue and it disappears out of blue. And I want to honor it. You call
Mm-hmm.
me crazy. I honor it everywhere. The other day I was at work and I just received this voicemail from, which actually caused me to post all these different things and do this testing. She comes out of blue. I'm in the middle of the meeting and she comes out of blue and tells me the truth that I needed to hear in that really, really true moment. She comes and tells me, your heart is the biggest ever. And it's so enormous that it should be earned and not given for free. And I just started crying. And I was like,
Yeah.
ah, and I was like, excuse me, I need to shut down left the meeting, went in conference room, and I just sobbed. So the
Yeah.
result of it, because I was reading the book, the result of it is like if you catch the real, true, raw, honest emotion that it's embodied in it, in the moment that it happens, a lot. I wanted to see how will people perceive it.
Yeah.
That's the video that I recorded. I was like, oh, phew, this was crazy. Girl, this was nuts because I didn't even believe myself, but I allowed it. So imagine when our brains are not really logically thinking like you're thinking, not now, the kids are watching, they'll freak out, rather than just like being like a sobbing balls. And every
Yeah.
corner,
Yeah.
everybody's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And funny enough, like I had some intuition about this, about pulling my muscle, but to me, injuries are psycho-emotional.
oh,
And even more extreme ones, like I can even place, so I got hit by a truck when I was riding my bike last year. And I still pulled this book out, which is like uh what's it called? Messages from the Body.
hmm,
And it places it. It's like, okay, you got hit by a truck. It means this. And I was like, okay, let me just accept it. It's kind of like that trust in something that's like an obvious example. Like there is something more than just me and just logic and just how life goes from A to B, and we work from it from birth to death. There's something more here. So for me with this injury, I had this intuition that I wasn't processing emotion fully or correctly or to the extent. So when you feel something in your body and you're like, I honor it, that is to me, that's like a true picture of health
hmm,
and what it means
looks
to be health.
crazy.
Yeah.
It looks crazy.
Yeah.
It looks like you're cuckoo. But wait,
Yeah.
what were you suppressing? Now I'm curious.
Yeah. So I made some pretty drastic changes in my lifestyle the past 2 weeks.
Mm.
One of which being I wake up at 4 a.m. now and I'm just connecting with people, like contacting them on Facebook or Instagram or texting. Sometimes I take phone calls. And I was just as an example, I was on the phone with my cousin who I barely talked to because she's 7 years older than me. When you're a kid, that's a huge difference. And she told me her life story, and it was tremendous. It was incredible, and I did cry, but I could tell there was like logicking happening of okay, this is only your second phone call. You haven't talked to her in so long. Don't freak her out by like expressing all of it. Like, huh? Um, and that's just an example. Like all these new relationships I'm recreating. Now it's a big mission of my body to be, okay, Eric, you're not going to process it, then we're going to store it somewhere. Where is it going to
Oh,
go? And then at some point it just snaps because I need the rest, I need to feel, I need to express the emotion. So the level of pain I'm experiencing is in accordance with that on some level or some degree, or the flavor of emotion that's needed.
okay. Question.
Yes.
Are you connecting with others for your emotional expressions, or are you connecting with others to hold space for theirs?
The intention is actually connection for business reasons.
Hmm.
For Carly, she's a holistic health coach, and then um, we have nutrition products. So I'm just connecting with people and trying to tease out like, hey, what's your story? Where'd you come from? What are some things you're struggling with? And oftentimes, like the connection just goes into any which direction, and I allow it because to me, it's always useful. It's always like a chance for me to again drop any judgment that comes in and just hear it and understand it. Because as a child and growing up, I lived in a shadow realm and I judged everything.
Hmm.
So it's in a way, it's like it's really healing for me, but the purpose is actually, you could call it a selfish one. But I do have the intention of if people just want someone there to to hold space for them, then I'm like, great, I'm a Pisces, let's go, let's do it.
Hmm. That can also be a product.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and a part of me doesn't want it to be if because it feels like I would commercialize something that I mean maybe we could talk about this
Yeah. Okay.
some other time, but
But I wanted to tell you, there was one post that I read for someone, and I can't remember. The lady was just doing, she's a space holder and does the tantric work and everything else, and it's constantly like creating space for others, which means that energy has to go somewhere, and
yeah,
it has to enter some body.
yeah.
And if you don't know what to do with it, you end up cricket. So maybe before you dive in to connect with all your cousins, figure out how to deal with energy and shield
Yeah.
yourself from it.
Well, and two,
Oh.
the on a practical level, the kids have been home for 2 weeks out of school for winter break. So I'm doing 4 hours of connecting and I come right home and I'm like taking on the chaos of the kids and helping so that Carly can have space. And then the day just kind of unfolds until bedtime and I'm exhausted, so I just go right to sleep. So I haven't normally I have a practice of like, oh, I can really feel this. I'm gonna do breath work or I'm gonna go sit in the ocean and just kind of swim. I'm gonna or do a meditation. I really like doing dynamic meditations where you're dancing, flailing, screaming, crying, whatever comes out, just doing
Mhm.
that. Um, so yeah, it's like I'm totally aware. It's funny because it's like I'm totally aware of it, but I'm still doing it. And that's the evolution of consciousness that I see with people is like you're conscious of your behavior on a level that's not enough to change it. So it's like becoming conscious on a level where it just changes on its own.
But it starts with awareness.
It
It
starts with
just takes
awareness.
time.
Yeah.
So you're kind of evolving. It just takes time.
I feel like yeah, the rapid change. Yeah.
I, I, and in the end, it's like trusting it. It's
Hmm.
like whatever happens, it's like it's almost like this, you have to catch up with it.
Hmm.
Or this, you have the brain has to catch up with it, right? So it's one or the other will go ahead of the time because we're already part of the conscious
Hmm.
conscious collective. We don't even know what's happening on the other side, but it is happening. And
Hmm.
as long as we trust it, brain and body will catch up to it eventually. It's like it's the work is done for us anyway. We're just passengers.
Yeah.
All right, let's touch on city, and we killed it. Uh, Tell me about your kids and innocence in it, and how does it feel to be, well, first, as a parent, can you get down to their level? First question. Second, do you see the CD in them when they're playing innocently?
Yeah, and it's interesting that he mentioned play because we often think of play as being something that's only joyful.
Hmm.
He did say, however, to a child, play is absolutely serious. The toy in the child's hand does become the center of their universe. Um,
I highlighted the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And We are innocently unaware of the magnitude of our great good fortune to be alive and playing out this epic exploration of consciousness with all of its toys in the world of form. So it is possible to go down to their level. And oftentimes it's required when they're having a meltdown. So in a meltdown, it's like this frustration. Okay, you want the bar, but you don't want it on a plate. You want it like it's like this very specific idea that they have, and if they don't get their way, the whole world is in disarray. It's like ah, and it's like okay, I can be frustrated, or I can go down to your level and try to see it the way you're seeing it. Okay, and I see that this is kind of like a game in a way. It's kind of like this is the only thing that matters right now. You're not actually thinking about how I need to get you in the car and how we need to go to this thing and how Koa's diaper is full and how Luca is climbing on this ladder ready to jump off. Like just you right now and this thing in your hands, that's your whole world. And it's easier with babies. Like if you can get a year or younger, because they'll look at you and they're just like, oh, it's
Fixated.
everything. So to answer your question, yes. And it is contagious if you allow yourself to see the world in their eyes.
Mm.
And then it's like, oh, even in a fit, even in a meltdown, it's not joyous, but it's so innocent. It's like this ability to just, yeah, it's transformative. It's hard to put into words.
Everything was play. And it reminded me when I was little, I would make my own home inside the house. I would collect all the chairs. I
Yeah.
would take the curtains. I would take the pillows. I would create a little, I would put them on the top of each other. I would cover them with the sheets or whatever, a blanket, and I would like open up a little thing. I was so creative when I
Yeah.
was little, and I created the house in the house, and it was in a corner. The door was there. We had entire setup, and I didn't even know how, but I did. It was the entire construction, and I remember that so because I didn't really think about anything else other than just making up something that I didn't have or coming up with the ideas, or maybe I can move the door here, or maybe we can enter from this side, from that side. And it was my entire world was in that house.
Hmm.
And I remember it vividly because I didn't give a damn about anything else. And there was no, I didn't feel hunger. I didn't worry about who is in, who is out. I was just let free and allowed to create. And that in a sense doesn't, it's hard to do in adulthood because as we know, we have to worry about a lot of things, but it's like, but it's possible if we get to the city level of innocence is to come back to that playfulness in life. So what
Hmm.
if your heart is broken? It's
Yeah.
so playful.
Yeah.
So what if you don't have money?
Yeah.
Play a game. So what? It's you find it, and it almost feels like if we allow it to happen, then love will have very different meaning. Money will come completely different way. Like everything will just like settle down to just the way it needs to. I don't need to go and search for someone to fall in love with. It will just come to me.
Yeah. Right,
Like
right, right.
here.
Yeah.
Like here, you need food, here's the food. You need shelter, here's the shelter. Water is right there behind. It's
Yeah.
raining, and like how do we I it's almost it's when I read it I just felt like, oh, I so wish I can feel this purity
Hmm.
of what if we know nothing that we know and we only get to play.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm wrestling with it now because the Carly, my wife, she hasn't gotten to know play in her life. She's always been um brought into a responsible situation or taking care of others. And recently I've taken it on to like allow her the chance to and
Hmm.
to and that's kind of like that masculine feminine polarity play. Again, it's just a play of like what would it look like if I could provide her with that space, that freedom, that ability to just be and not worry about the bills, not worry about the plan, not worry about where money's coming from. And in doing that, like on one level, I don't get to feel it. I'm actually taking more on and playing less. But there is something with like, as a man seeing a woman experience it, it is it is like incredibly attractive. And I think the
Oh,
attraction isn't just like a, like I want to be with you. It's an attraction of like wow, this is what's possible because a woman has the capacity she's much more in tune than a man can be. At least that's my understanding.
it's a power goddess.
Yeah. It's like
It is
in play and chaos, right? And that's of course that would be the city for chaos as the shadow.
when you see the woman in a true power, it's contagious.
Yeah.
It is so powerful that you want a little bit of it. It's almost like it's not like you're worshiping it like a goddess, but there is something
Well,
that is nurturing. In our level of understanding, yes, it's
yeah.
that level of
Yeah, yeah.
understanding. But the powerful women are attractive for sure. And
Yeah.
the power is when they feel free and
Hmm.
safe
Hmm.
to become the goddess or to explore themselves and not fit the mold of a mom, of a wife, of a daughter, of a community leader, or this, all these different suppressed modes that we have to. We learned for so many years and decades and generations on how to do it. Now that's another conscious that it's really rising, which is the feminine.
Yeah.
And no matter what, it is happening everywhere. I meet all these women all over the world that are really expressing themselves in very different manner. And a lot of men wouldn't like it because now they take control of themselves. But men like you who did the work will see the power in it and will find it attractive, which is beautiful, which is
Yeah.
so powerful and beautiful. But only then you will realize what the true feminine nurture mother, as Carly is actually how much nurture she can give you once she becomes the goddess that she is. Oh, I can talk about this
Hmm.
forever.
I
But I'm
know.
glad you pointed it out. I'm glad
Yeah.
you find it attractive. She should know. You should tell her.
Oh, she does.
Nice.
This has been a great focus of ours for the last 6 months.
Yeah, I respect you for
And
that a lot. A
yeah,
lot.
we've made some progress for sure.
We should talk off the recording about this because really there's a
Hmm.
lot to say. And I think she should join one of my programs too. I'm attending a year-long program for it. The second
Yeah.
year, actually. It's powerful. It's
Yeah.
so good. Anyway, okay, so how about this one? How about this one? This is not a decision that can be, oh, sorry. Humanity will change from within as life always has. It is shaped by its own environment. If it becomes a threat to the environment, then life relays the message back in its cellular structure, causing it to mutate a more efficient program. So even if we, as we evolve, how I understood this, as we innovate, as we become more and more aware that the innocence and playfulness of all of this existence and life and cosmos and all these energies through the evolvement, a lot of it, a lot of errors or the misunderstood or the cells or the beings that don't want to adopt to the conscious level will die off and check out. That's how I understood it. I was like, okay, so you got to do the work. That's how I got this. It's like you got to do the work, and work will be gifted to you, and for you to be fearless, to stop building the walls, stop forcing yourself to be separated from another, and really do the work for the entire collective and bring your heart to it. Emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seek as is. If you sad, you sad. If you happy, you happy. If really, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This is just who I am.
Hmm.
Everybody will get it wrong anyway.
Yeah, right.
I proved my thesis. Yeah. What do you think about it?
Um,
The old cells that don't mutate or human beings that don't really want to change, falling off the grid.
yeah, so that's in relation to the environment becoming more cohesive and unified. Yeah, it makes so much sense. It almost makes me think of like and you play certain tones in the music scale or certain notes, and then it makes shapes in water or shapes in like if you have metals on like a speaker, they'll make certain shapes. It's like they're going to resonate, and the thing that's not in resonance will find its way, or it will like fall off of the speaker.
Mhm.
It'll like bounce until it's off. So,
Yeah,
because to me it's all frequency and energy.
yeah, yeah. But I'm almost thinking nobody will fall off because you're going to be forced to do the work anyway
Yeah, yeah,
because you're part of this collective.
yeah, and in the grand picture, it doesn't mean it's going to happen in your lifetime, but what happens in your reincarnation or in your
Speaking of.
yeah, yeah.
This is totally natural and organic process that is already beginning to occur to humanity. We fear it because we do not trust our own innocence. The great human fear is of losing our own uniqueness. Oof.
Yeah. So it's almost like the people that don't are going to go, like you said, they're going to go in. More fear, more fear, more fear, more fear. In order to, because as the resonance increases and it gets so strong, more fear, more fear, more fear. So what happens at the greatest level? Like, how far in does it go? Like, can you imagine? I'm not really sure what I'm asking. I'm thinking of people that I know that are doing this right now, and it's like, well, what happens? When do they
There's
when do they explode out?
the question is, do they explode out or do they disappear? Do you think the souls die?
No,
Do you think all souls continue to eternity?
that's my belief right now.
Do you believe in lost souls?
No,
No soul is lost,
no,
even the darkest of the darkest ones.
no.
Oh, I love it.
Is that your belief?
Um, I'll just give you stories that I heard. I
Okay.
don't really believe, I don't know how to believe in it. I met the lady years ago, and the lady was the doctor who was helping patients pass over.
Hmm.
And she would wear all these crystals in her bra and all over her body. And when the soul is getting ready to pass over and cross over, there's a lot of energies that are coming in. So it's almost like she explained it that a lot of energies come down to the soul and they're right there waiting, helping the soul pass over while the human beings, us living here, are holding the soul down on the 3D ground, right? So her job was to mediate between this life and the next life and separate it so the soul can go over. And she was just filled with all these different like crystals that will take over all these like energies. And
Hmm.
she says that they will bite her in her
Yeah.
bra and it would be all over and she would have to cleanse them on the sun and the moon. So she would tell me the souls that are lost. She would tell me about the souls that were lost. And she then connected with the other lady who channeled deeply down in the lower realms, uh, this soul that she wanted to save as through angelic like light. And some souls here. I met a lot of them actually who have purpose to do this heavy lifting work, which is to enter the end of the cosmos, at the end of the universe, down to the bottom in a complete darkness and risk to get lost and never find the exit to save someone. And I remember her explaining that there was this man who she worked with while he was alive together and would work with his energy, and he was so rich and so alone and completely closed off in this rich like mansion that he lived in. And then he died. When he died, he translated his spirit life into being like in the middle of the desert. This is how she explains it. I vividly explain it. It's like it's cracked, the complete like dead area, and there was just one dry tree that he was just holding on to, and was just like looking left and right. I remember the story was so scary. So she would come in a form of light from above and try to reach to him, and he just couldn't see it, and kept pushing her, pushing her, pushing her. And she's like, I'm here, I'm here. And one of those like guides or intuitives or energies that we feel. And she's like, I've done so much work with him and I could not save him. And to the point, she's still alive, to the point where she feels the heaviness of it, that she could not save the souls. And that was her interpretation of there are souls that choose not to get saved ever and just get stuck in the void. That so it's a theory, and I don't know. This she channeled this, and I'm just giving you the story so you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know anything of it.
That's interesting. I don't know enough experientially to say, you know, like you asked me like about my belief, and I would still say like it's not lost, but I can't I can't tell you like that I've been there and done that.
Yeah.
But it's powerful though.
I mean, we don't know. And that's beautiful because it doesn't matter in the end of the day. Let's just have fun while we're here
Yeah.
and play like kids.
Yeah.
Any closing statements for Jinky number 3?
Um yeah, I'll just read one line here. Not a single cell within our body can afford to be selfish or we would die. And that's the metaphor example of our evolution as human beings placed over our human beings evolution into the collective or the unified consciousness.
Mm. That's why you think no soul is dying ever.
Yeah, I think it's all part of, I still think it's part of the experience in some way. And who knows what will happen at, we could say forever, but how do we know?
We don't. We don't. We don't know anything. All of
Mm.
this is just for us to fulfill some story and give us some sort of certainty or belief or belonging or hope, trust, surrender. We really don't know.
No.
His last one here is interesting. It says, your true home is not located within your body, nor is there somewhere in the universe a single center through which everything is orchestrated. The center you're looking for is the feeling of love itself,
Right.
which is the omnicentric manifestation of your eternal state of innocence.
Hmm.
In the end of the day, it's all love. And I don't think we understand what kind of love that is yet.
And some do. It's the Christ consciousness. Some have
Mm.
attained. And the beautiful thing is we get to read and listen to the words of those that have experienced it, and it's always transformational.
Mm. Have you met someone?
Not personally, but there's many teachers um that I get a taste, a feeling like,
Mm,
oh yeah, this is a profound love, and it's usually taught in a paradoxical way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, this was good.
Yeah.
This was phenomenal. Bam, an hour and a half. Looking forward to the fourth.
Yeah, should we foreshadow the fourth? Sometimes that's helpful. Foreshadow.
How? What's the deal? What's the plan?
Just say for next week, the fourth gene key, the shadow of intolerance, the gift of understanding, and the city of forgiveness. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it too.
Yeah.